And a very good evening, everyone. We're back here at the Cadet First Class Club. Yet another edition of This Week in Army Football. After a week off, we're back getting ready for Army against Georgia State coming up on Saturday. Black Knights looking for their second win of the season. Army coming off a bye week. And then 2 weekends ago, a 49-10 win over Villanova. Army's first victory of the season. Black Knights 472 offensive yards, all of them on the ground. And with that, a big welcome to the head coach of the Black Knights. How about a warm welcome to Jeff Monken. Jeff, welcome back to your show. And before we begin, and before we talk about Army and Georgia State, Army and Villanova, our thoughts, prayers, anything we can do to think about those affected by Hurricane Ian. And at least from a sports standpoint, many games move, days, times, but that's all irrelevant compared to what folks are going through with the devastation from that storm. And Jeff, I know for you, hit very close to home in regards to your family.
Well, Beth's dad, Jimmy Register, is down in New Smyrna Beach, and he's got 1.5 foot of water in his house. So his whole property looks like a lake, and it didn't stop at the house. So he's going through it. We don't really know the entire effect on and how much is damaged, but I pretty much assume about everything in the house is gone. So we're gonna have to deal with that. But you know what? He's still alive. He's doing fine. He's in good spirits, and that's what's important. And things can be replaced. But I know people are going through it down there, and unfortunately, there's been some people who have been injured, and I think there's been some lives lost, and that's always just so sad and tragic. So praying that this storm will get out of here and everybody can start the recovery process.
Absolutely, thinking about those folks. And again, the storm is one thing, then the continual recovery and rebuild, months if not years ahead of the folks down there. So with that, we get back to something not nearly as important, and that's college football, I guess you would say. Jeff, a week off, Georgia State coming up on Saturday. Before we talk about the Villanova game, how important was the week off where it stood here early in this season after 3 games at the quarter pole mark? What were you able to get done?
I like to get a bye week just every few weeks, and I think this was good for us to have a week off and to try to regroup and recover from some injury. We've battled some of that. We battled it in the game on Saturday against Villanova. We had some guys go out of the game and didn't return. We had some guys even in practice following that game that we lost, but we're starting to get those guys back, and that's what you get when you have a week off. Those guys get some opportunities to rest. We didn't do anything last Friday or Saturday. We took Monday off again, and then really modified our practices this week so that we practiced hard on Tuesday, a lot lighter practice yesterday, and had our walkthrough today. So I think the guys are really starting to feel a sense of recovery, and that's good. So hopefully some of those guys that got about 48 hours to get healthy will get healthy, and we'll have them ready for the Georgia State game.
Jeff, we talk about injury and the Villanova game, and the mind immediately goes to Jacoby Buchanan, your fine fullback, a 55-yard run early in that game. Actually got injured on what was just a tremendous play fake by Tyir Tyler on his touchdown run. How was Jacoby feeling? What's his status for Saturday?
He's much improved, and a lot can happen in 48 hours. He hasn't had a chance to be in all the practices. He's done some of the things with us in the workouts, and he's just really hour to hour right now, and we'll see where he is when we start or get up on Saturday morning and prepare for game day. So I'm optimistic, but you know, obviously we've got to prepare with other guys, and that's the great news. We got some other guys we feel really good about.
And one more injury question, your offensive line, which, you know, moving players in and out of spots the first few weeks. As a whole, how does that unit look right now?
Oh, they're banged up, and I think that comes with the territory with those guys. They probably feel 100%. Or as close to that the day we start preseason camp. They probably never feel that good again the rest of the year. There's a lot of bodies flying around in there in the trenches when we play on offense. So, and that happens in practice. We got to practice that way to prepare them. But we got a number of those guys that were kind of limping around 2 Saturdays ago that have been back practicing, and that we feel good about that.
Let's look back to the Villanova game, and your team wins 49-10. That was a very good championship subdivision team. Villanova ranked in the top 10. They're the odds-on pick to win the Colonial Athletic Association. How impressed were you with your team's performance? 472 offensive yards, every single one of those yards on the ground.
Our guys approached the game and prepared like they should have. It was the most important game of the year at that point. Obviously, starting the season 0-2 was not where we wanted to be. We were desperate for a victory, and just really proud of the guys and the way they approached it. Very professional, and we didn't play flawlessly. We had some mistakes that we got to correct, but I thought the guys played really hard and performed well, and that is a talented team. And you only look around college football since week 1 and even this past weekend to see some of the FCS teams defeating FBS programs and even beating Power 5 teams. So you can't take anybody for granted. Sometimes it's hard for me to not fire back. Somebody says, "Oh, this ought to be an easy one for you," and there's nothing easy about winning a college football game with guys on scholarship, particularly Villanova, who's ranked in the top 10 and been a playoff team. And so they got good players and they got good coaches, and our guys just played really well.
We joked last week, or a couple weeks ago, that I predicted Army wasn't going to throw a pass and win the game at a blowout. You threw one pass. It was incomplete. But seriously, you talked a lot about getting back to basics, the fundamentals. There was a lot of talk, a lot of media coverage at Army's passing and passing efficiency over the first 2 weeks. Was that by design to run the ball as much as you did?
I think when we throw the ball, it really is in response to what the defense is doing. And oftentimes we find ourselves having a difficult time moving the ball because they are so, as a defense, so committed to stopping the run against us that we really don't have much choice. And we realize that as these plays are playing their way out, and we watch the reaction of the defense to motion, to play action, to see how they're responding to the B-back, to the quarterback, to the pitch player, that there's going to be some opportunities to throw the ball in the passing game that looks like a run game, so a play action pass. And that's really where we've completed a lot of our balls, and a lot of the big plays that we've had have been off of play action. So it's really in response to what we're getting from the defense. And obviously last Saturday we were able to run the ball effectively, and they had plenty of guys committed to the pass, but we were doing a much better job of moving people around.
You turn it around this week. Georgia State, a team which faced off down there in Atlanta in 2019. That was a tough loss, then a big win to open 2021 at Center Parc Stadium. What are your thoughts on Georgia State 0-4? And again, we're not looking to pump up saying, hey, the record's deceiving, but the reality is they've played 2 Power 5 teams and as well as Coastal Carolina, who you saw, which is going to be one of the top, if not the top team in the Sun Belt Conference.
They've got a very athletic team, a well-coached team. Nate Fuqua, who's the defensive coordinator, worked with Coach Woody. And I mean, it's very similar defense to the one that we see. And Nate's tough to run the ball against. And it's tough to run it against Nate Fuqua. He does a tremendous job. Coach Elliott's done a wonderful job with that program. They were a bowl team again last year and won their bowl game. He's consistently had them as a bowl team and a winning program in that league. And the familiarity that I have with them, having coached at Georgia Southern, and that's a fairly young program when you compare with a lot of the programs in the country, as is Coastal Carolina. So they're even younger than Coastal Carolina, and what they've built and what they've been able to do in a short amount of time is really impressive. So as you said, losing to North Carolina and South Carolina, 2 very good football teams, losing to Coastal Carolina, who I think's one of the great football teams and programs in the country right now, and then Charlotte, who I think they've got a really good football team. Will Healy and the job he's done down there, I mean, they give everybody trouble. So they've got a good football team. I know they're going to play really, really hard. I'm sure they're desperate for a victory as well, just like us. And the records mean nothing. We know who they are. We know who we are. We know we're going to have to play our very best.
And Georgia State last in action 1 week ago tonight against Coastal Carolina. So while Army had the full bye week, Georgia State a couple more days than the normal week off. We're here on This Week in Army Football until 8 o'clock, talking everything Black Knights football. Once again, the game against Georgia State on Saturday, noon kick time, 10 o'clock airtime across the Army Sports Network with the Army Football Tailgate Show. If you have any questions tonight, we're streaming on Facebook Live, on YouTube. Drop your questions into the Facebook Live chat under the comments section. We welcome back on the wireless Corey Younghans. We appreciate you coming back. Missed that 1 week, but now you're, 3 out of 4 so far.
1 week and a bye week, but we're back.
Exactly.
We're so back. It's good to see you guys. Happy to be here. To reiterate what Rich said, if you guys have questions, any burning questions for Coach, drop those in the comments and we'll get them answered.
Sounds good to us. Coming up next, our special guest, class of 2011. He was part of Army's bowl team in 2010. Second time we've had a player from that 2010 bowl team. Just all around great guy. Former fullback, now a captain in the U.S. Army. Kingsley Ahe joining us. One of the good dudes.
He's great, and he continues to contribute to the program. He's here on campus, and he's always around the program. Anytime we have prospects on campus, he's the first guy to be there and talk to families and talk to prospects, and just really excited to have him on the show tonight.
He's got that calming feeling when you're around him, that everything is taken care of. We're going to get to meet him, get to know him a little better coming up next. Kingsley Ahe, our special guest on This Week in Army Football, and that's when we come back right here from the Cadet First Class Club on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Today, I'm a captain on the Army West Point football team. Tomorrow, I strive to lead winning teams.
Today, I study to excel in the classroom. Tomorrow, I can reach for the stars.
Today, I am leading cadets during summer training. Tomorrow, I will be ready to lead soldiers on the battlefield.
Today, I lead with character as the brigade commander. Tomorrow, my possibilities are endless.
West Point, where leaders are made.
We spent this bye week just harping in on fundamentals, all the little details, and just being very intentional with getting the little things right. And we're trying not to be complacent. That's far from where we are right now. I feel like we're working very hard, and there's a light bulb that switched for us, and we just got to keep this momentum rolling.
Definitely, as the season goes on and you kind of get in the routine, it's easy to fall into the trap where you forget the basics. So definitely taking the bye week and practicing those fundamental things that you tend to might look over from time to time is definitely important.
It was a midline play. My blocking up front was executed perfectly, and all I saw was grass from there. It was pretty exciting, turning around and seeing my O-line and receiver and stuff come celebrate with me in the end zone.
That mentality is just always being ready, just practicing hard, and just whenever your number's called, being able to produce and be very productive and doing whatever the team needs you to do.
Definitely, I feel energy coming from it, especially seeing Andre Carter making sacks, Marquell getting turnovers too. And I just feel like interceptions and sacks and big plays like that definitely help the defense feed off that energy and go out and do the same thing the next drive.
It's way too important of a game, and there's too much at stake, and they're too tough of an opponent, way too athletic and far too well coached for us to just say, hey, we'll approach game week and game week. We treated both weeks just like we're getting prepared for the game.
And welcome back to This Week in Army Football here at the Cadet First Class Club. Army Football brought to you by West Point Family and MWR. FMWR offers horseboarding, golfing, skiing, catering, camping, and many more activities and programs. Visit westpoint.armymwr.com for more information. It's Army and Georgia State coming up on Saturday. We're here with you until 8 o'clock on This Week in Army Football, and it's time now for our special guest this week, former Army football player, class of 2011, now a captain in the United States Army and part of Army's 2010 Armed Forces Bowl championship team. How about This Week in Army Football? Welcome to Captain Kingsley Ahe. Kingsley, one of my favorites. I'm so glad you're back. And now an assistant athletic director in military operations helping us out. I'm so happy you're here on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Coach. Thank you. Really, it's an honor to.
Glad to have you here.
Jeff, it just has that calming influence when you see him.
He does. It's remarkable. People wouldn't believe. They think all these guys that are West Point grads, Army officers, are just, hard charge and gung ho. And he was as a player, and probably was as leader in the Army. But his personality and temperament just perfect for the job he's got right now.
So Kingsley, before we came on the air, you mentioned your first, experience here at the Cadet First Class Club. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, it seems like ages ago. So my official recruiting visit back in the Bobby Ross years, we were actually here in that final dinner off to the left side right here. Remember taking my very first Army photo next to Coach Ross. I had the we won't call them dreadlocks, but a bit longer hair back in those days, and obviously a few months later it was all gone, but what an experience.
Really? So, okay, so you make the move to come to West Point. Tell us about that decision and, growing up in Nigeria, moving to the United States, what it meant to you and your family to be able to not only pursue a football career, but pursue a career as a future Army officer here at West Point.
Yeah, it's something that's always been very important for my family. When we moved here, a big influence on me and my dad was my uncle, who at that time when we moved here, he was a professor at Southeast Missouri State. I had another uncle that was a professor in Alabama, so academically, our family is just always something that we hold to a very, very high level, a very high standard. So coming here to West Point was, essentially it was a dream come true for me and as well as my family.
Well, Jeff, that's you start with the folks who Kingsley could probably have gotten in here without the football. So that's you're hitting a home run bringing someone like that, right?
No question, makes the admissions process a lot easier. But it's great to hear Kingsley's story again, and I've heard it before, and just the diversity of this institution, all the different places and the different backgrounds and experiences that our cadets have before they come here, and how that strengthens who we are as an institution, how that strengthens us as an Army, and just the pride that each one of them has to have this opportunity. So it's a great story.
And Kingsley, so take me through your career here at West Point, really part of a team which turned things around to a degree in 2010. Going to the Armed Forces Bowl, winning that game over SMU. What are some of the moments that stick out for you on the football field?
Yeah, so I think it really started the tail end of my sophomore year. That was when Coach Ellison came in. And, we'd been fighting and clawing. Back in those days, we had some hard times, especially when we talk about the Army-Navy series. We spent a lot of time. My junior year was really when we felt that we underachieved based off where we could have been, in terms of the athletes that we had on the team. That was the first year Trent Stillman was starting as a quarterback as a freshman. We under-delivered on the field, and you moved to our senior year. We were able to bring in some better athletes. One comes to mind, Jared Hassan, who was, came from the Air Force Academy. We had a phenomenal year by Josh McNary. That really, Pat Mealy, Steve Anderson, some of those guys who really stepped up to the plate to ensure that we turned the corner, just winning that bowl game. So, I think of that bowl game, we started off extremely hot in the season, and things kind of cooled down for us, and I think a lot of us are just extremely happy that we were able to close it off with that victory, from Super Bowl.
That was Tucker Wall talks about that season and just the resilience of that team. I think you guys went to Kent State in a kind of a cool, dreary, cloudy day and got bowl eligible, that's not an easy out over there. And he said it was just a great year and a great way to finish that season off. And to win a bowl game, to go to a bowl game is great, but to win that bowl game and to finish the season with a victory, that's a memory for a lifetime for everybody who's a part of that team, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
It's funny, Kingsley, you mentioned that. And really, the bowl game was almost a microcosm of that season. You got out hot early in that bowl game, right? Third play of the game, McNary, the scoop and score, and then you score Malcolm Brown a little bit later, and then holding on in the second half of that game to win, and a missed field goal by SMU fairly late in that game. So take me through your time in the Army. So you graduate in 2011. Where have your travels taken you, and then coming back here to the academy?
Yeah, it's been an awesome ride. Started off at Fort Benning, infantry, basic course, Ranger School, and then went off to just down the street really at Fort Stewart there in Georgia as well. Spent my time there as a rifle platoon leader, company executive officer. Spent some time on staff before heading back to Fort Benning for the Maneuver Captain's Career Course. Following that, the family and I, we moved to Fort Wainwright, Alaska, which is, for everyone who's listening, interior Alaska, really God's country, beautiful place. I can't say enough about it. While in Alaska, was a AS3, S3 for about a year, and had an unannounced, really unsuspected deployment. So I had the chance to command in combat as a rifle company commander in Iraq. While deployed, I had another phenomenal opportunity to command a headquarters company in Syria, and then redeployed back here in the COVID time. So came back mid-2020, COVID was a thing, life was extremely different. Finished up our time in Alaska, and then came down here and been in grad school for the past year, a year ago at Columbia, and now here with the flight department.
West Point graduate, soon Columbia graduate, Jeff. I'll tell you what, and I'm sure you talk about it on the recruiting trips into your current cadets. I mean, and again, Kingsley's phenomenal, but this is an achievable thing for all of your cadets with the opportunities that they have here at West Point.
They see the world. Just listen for the last 2 minutes. Seen the world, multiple degrees from outstanding universities, and it creates not only experiences of a lifetime, but opportunities for a lifetime when you go to West Point. So it's just another example of that.
Before we let you go, so two more questions. Number one, in high school, nicknamed the Nigerian Nightmare. I need to know the background of that. You were written about in newspapers.
Yeah. Probably
Christian Okoye.
Probably undeserving, I should add.
Come on, Kingsley.
Undeserving. So, no, it was my junior year. I still remember the game. We're playing a local team called Willard, and I had a pretty good game. And one of the writers, local writers, had a little snippet about the Nigerian Nightmare, but
kind of stuck after that.
Just a little bit.
Okay, and quickly, what are you doing now? And obviously working in the athletic department and providing support. And like I said, you're always that calming influence, that calming person whenever we see you. Talk a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so currently I'm the assistant AD for military operations. And really what that entails is there's a small team of us led by Colonel Nunez. We've got a civilian, John Nowotchik, who's, we call him the Army West Point Athletics OG, because he's been here for quite some time. And it's myself and another officer named Major Kidahara. Essentially what we are is the bridge between USCC, the Corps, and our athletic department. So, at the military academy, one of the things that we have here is just that military aspect where we let the coaches coach, and then we help essentially bridge the gap for military requirements and things of that nature over to the Corps.
Well, Kingsley, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Don't be a stranger. We love seeing you every day, and best of luck.
Awesome. Rich, thank you. Coach, once again, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We're thrilled to have you here.
Captain Kingsley Ahe, West Point class of 2011, soon to be Columbia University graduate as well, joining us here on This Week in Army Football as our special guest. When we come back, your turn. Questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken when we're back here at the Cadet First Class Club right here on This Week in Army Football across the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Promise is a trust not to be broken. Whether spoken with an oath or sealed with a pinky, USAA started with a promise to take care of the military community. And 100 years later, that's still our mission. Always.
It's the first home game of 2022. It's great to be back at the greatest place to watch college football, Michie Stadium, West Point, where the Black Knights are looking for their 7th straight home opening win. This quick throw left side, knocked away by Broughton. That pass was in the hands of Trayvon Bradley, and I think the crunching hit from Broughton just dislodged it. Play fake, a throw by Tyler, caught by Ajon Marshall at the 40-yard line, out to midfield, clear sailing in front of him, a 77-yard touchdown strike. Tyler to Ajon Marshall, and the Black Knights are on the board. 4 receivers out of the play. Frank Harris back to throw, Carter coming, they've got him back at the 45-yard line. Hill came in to help finish it off, but Andre Carter, the All-American, breaks through for the Black Knights from the UTSA 16-yard line. Tyler waiting under center, handoff Buchanan. No, Tyler keeps it, 10-yard line, runs right to the 5, and he's in for the touchdown. Tyler faking everyone out on that one, and the quarterback keeper takes it in for the score. Tyler puts Army in front, 27-14. Then for Army at the UTSA 42. Ballard straight back to throw deep down the field. Tyrell Robinson at the 15, and he heads in for the touchdown. 42 yards, Cade Ballard to Tyrell Robinson, and with 63 seconds left in the ball game, Army an extra point away from tying this one up. Army fans, Broadway's back at Eisenhower Hall Theater, the Hudson Valley's premier performing arts center. Enjoy your favorite Broadway plays and musicals in the comfort and convenience of America's Theater, Eisenhower Hall. A delicious meal at the Riverside Cafe prior to each show makes for a perfect evening. Don't miss out. Tickets go on sale soon. Group and individual sales available. For updated season info and ticket sales, visit IkeHall.com. That is IkeHall.com. Rich Demarco back with Army head coach Jeff Monken on This Week in Army Football. We're coming to you live across the Army Sports Network, of course, the Varsity Network app, YouTube Live, as well as Facebook Live. And if you have questions for the coach, drop them into the comments section of Facebook Live. We'll get to as many questions as we can. Also, for those here at the First D Club, you can find Corey on the wireless mic. And we have our first question of the night.
And our first question is coming at us live with Jerry from Fishkill.
All right, Jerry.
Coach, what year is number 18, a quarterback?
He's a senior. Cade Ballard, he is. And he came direct from Greenville, Tennessee. He was actually Mr. Football in the state of Tennessee 2 years in a row. Was 30-0 as a starter, won two state championships in a row, played for his dad. His dad was his high school coach. He's a terrific player and a really good leader. I wish he wasn't a senior. I'd like to have him around for a couple more years, but he's doing a good job, Jerry.
Yeah, they both played good, both the quarterbacks.
They did. I'm glad you recognize that. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And a great day on the ground for both quarterbacks with the touchdowns, 472 yards on the ground. But beyond the stat sheet, were you happy with the sharing of that position between Tyre and Cade?
We were, and really we intended for it to be a game where they shared snaps. We've really gone into each one of our games with that intent. The first game, Tyre played more. The second game, Cade played more, and this one was a little bit more balanced. And fortunately, we were able to play some other guys as well as the game got going and was in our favor.
Jamel Jones saw time, as well as Bryson Daly. And Jeff, on your weekly news conference this week, you talked about Bryson. He's the future at quarterback. Just your thoughts on him in practice, and then finally lifting the lid on his collegiate career against Villanova.
I'm just really happy with that whole group of guys. Coach Worley does a great job preparing them, and they're a talented group of guys. They're perfect for our system. And Bryson's got a great future. He's a tough, strong runner. He's got a really good arm, really smart player, very competitive. And so I'm excited about the future with him.
Next question for Coach.
Alrighty, Coach. This one is from Tom Bossman. He said, Coach, it seems like containment had been an issue in our first 3 games. What are your thoughts there, and how have we been working on it?
Did you say containment? It has been an issue. We have been working on it, and it's not something that we just kind of expected the guys to do without some work. We work that every day. It's whether it's pass rush drills or it's one-on-one pass rush with our offensive line against our defensive line, blitz pickup, or blitz versus blitz pickup with our entire offensive line working against the defense. Those guys get opportunities to do that, but when you're rushing really fast and you're trying to turn a corner and the quarterback steps up in the pocket, just sometimes you get yourself beyond the quarterback or too deep. You don't want to lose contain, and a lot of those breaks in contain have been guys getting too far up the field, and the quarterback steps inside and is able to get outside the pocket, even though we were outside of him initially. So it's just the constant reminder and watching film and working those drills in practice. And Coach Cronin does a great job, and Coach Woody stressing that to our guys. So whether it's a linebacker or it's a blitzing secondary player or if it's one of the defensive linemen, really working those skills. Hopefully we're going to get better, and we can't lose contain. That those quarterbacks going to hurt us even more if we continue to do that. But I'm confident we'll be better.
Thank you for the question. Jeff, how'd it feel good to pick up your first turnovers of the season against Villanova?
It was, and you and I were just talking about offline here about the interception we had against UTSA, and it got called back, and that's our fault. We had a penalty on the play. It was a foolish penalty. So it was good to get the ball away. And when you win the turnover battle, you have a much better chance to win a football game. We didn't win the turnover battle in the first 2 games. We did in this one, and I think it made a big difference.
Back to Corey. Next question for Coach Monken.
Okay, Coach, this one is from Steve Rothopt. He said, Coach, can you please explain the meaning of the players holding their arms crossed, held overhead before the start of the fourth quarter?
So we, after our first year here, we really placed an emphasis on winning the fourth quarter. My first season here in 2014, we didn't win a single fourth quarter. So essentially, just extract the fourth quarter and look at it. Did we score more points than our opponent in the fourth quarter? We didn't do that once in 12 games. So we really placed an emphasis on becoming fourth quarter warriors and winning the fourth quarter. So we came up with just a sign that's ours that reminds our guys and that how important it is to win the fourth quarter. And there's been so many games since then that we have won the fourth quarter, and it's taken a fourth quarter victory for us to be able to win the game. So it's something that we constantly talk about. We compete every day at the end of practice. We have what we call the fourth quarter, and our guys put up the skull and crossbones. So this is a fourth down or a 4 I guess in football. You see the officials when they say it's fourth down, and we do the fourth quarter warriors, and we just cross them like we do the skull and crossbones that's on our flag that we carry out. So something that's ours, and I think it just helps pick the intensity up in the fourth quarter and remind our guys how important that those 15 minutes are.
And when you're at the game on Saturday, a great video plays between the third and fourth quarters. The fourth quarter Warriors video, and the video crew led by Brett Rory.
And it's encouraged for everybody in the stadium to do the same thing. That's a fist with your right hand and a number 4 with your left hand, and cross it over like the skull and crossbones. So hopefully we'll get more people doing that.
And we'll get more questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken on This Week in Army Football when we come back here at the Cadet First Class Club across the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Till I can't fight no more! Till I can't fight no more! And when I can't fight no more! Till I can't fight no more! I'm gonna lie down! I'm gonna lie down! Bleed a while! Bleed a while! Army! I will fight! I will fight! Get up! I will get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Fight some more! Fight some more!
He's gonna go the distance. Tyrell Robinson, the cannon fires. And it's intercepted by Army.
Last of the heart! You feel it?
Touchdown. Army continues the onslaught. Army bringing pressure. Oh, get another saddle pass broken up. Army wins. The Black Knights defeat Air Force in overtime. The kick is good. Army wins the 2021 Armed Forces Bowl on the final play of the game.
We're fighters, fist risers, only ones coming out survivors, rushing in with adrenaline pulsing, high voltage. Dynamite, we're about to blow, hammer pull back, gonna let it go, losing our minds, got no control.
Tyrell Robinson off to the races, inside the 30-yard line, to the 20, to the 10, pulled down at the goal line, but he's in for the touchdown. Throw loading up deep, wide open. Ijon Marshall at the 30, and he sprints in all by himself for the touchdown. And welcome back to This Week in Army Football. Army West Point Athletics would like to thank its restaurant and tavern partners, Brothers Barbecue and O'Toole's Pub. Check out the restaurant and tavern partners portion of GoArmyWestPoint.com for more information. Support those who support the Corps. Jeff, we have talked on the show a bit about injuries, and someone who is nursing an injury, and I know a big part of your team is actually at tonight's show, and I know you want to give him a shout out.
Ryan Jakovic sitting over there with his folks from Sewickley, Pennsylvania, and Ryan's a great guy. He got hurt in preseason camp. We're keeping our fingers crossed that he's going to continue to improve and be able to play before this season's out. He is a senior. I'd love to see him play in his senior year. He was really improving and was going to be a starter. So it's great that he's here.
With his parents, Terry and Valerie, as you mentioned, from Sewickley, PA. Welcome tonight, Ryan Jakovic. We love to see as many former players come by, or current players come by, as they can. How about Kingsley Ahe? I know he
what an incredible guy.
What a great guy.
He is, for sure. So we're very fortunate to have him back here. It's a great thing about West Point. When you can hire your grads back, you know you're just getting an unbelievable leader and a great mentor for the cadets who are here.
More questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken. If you're watching Facebook Live, YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, drop your questions into the comments section. And Corey, another question for Coach.
All right, Coach. This one is from Anthony John, one of our loyal listeners, might I add. He said, Coach, Hayden Reed showed promise against Villanova. Any other newcomers climbing up the depth chart?
Hayden really has shown some promise. I'm excited about him, and he's a powerful kid, explosive, and he's getting better. So expect to see him play some more this week and as we go through the season. There are guys showing up. We've got a veteran team, and that's really good for us, that we've got a number of guys that have played a lot of football for us. There are far fewer freshmen that are playing right now and contributing as perhaps we've had in the past, and maybe as few freshmen as we've ever had. But I think we've got as talented a freshman class as we've had in a long time. There's guys like Kamari Copeland, Jacob Tuioti on the defensive line that we're really excited about. Eric Ford, who's an outside linebacker. Donovan Platt got a start a couple of weeks ago. He's a freshman. Jaden Mays. Jabril Williams, all guys at corner that I think are going to be able to contribute. There's a young guy, Caleb Fortner, or Liam Fortner, who's a receiver. We got a set of twins. Caleb's a linebacker, Liam's a receiver, and he's dressing out, and he perhaps may help us as the season goes along. So good to see those guys starting to show up, and I think the more we practice, the more we play, the more experience they get running our systems and being in the defense, being in the offense, that they'll start to show up. But guys on special teams, guys like Noah Short playing on several special teams. So they're probably quietly some guys that are contributing, and I'm really looking forward to the future. I think we got a great freshman class.
And Anthony, thank you for the question. And just to rehash a little bit of Villanova, a little bit more, because we talked a lot about it, but there were so many storylines from the game. Jeff, two other things. Tyson Riley, now that we're talking about that fullback position, career high 159 yards on the ground. Was that as healthy and as effective you've seen him here in the last couple of years?
He's been healthier. He just played really well, and he was not full speed last Saturday when we played Villanova. But when Jacoby went down, he knew he needed to carry the load, and he did. I thought he just battled, and we're watching the highlights here, and I see him running that long touchdown run. I know him and that his gait, and I can see that he's hobbled as he runs down the field. He's much better now after 2 weeks of having a chance to get more rehabilitation with our conditioning, with our training staff, and so I think he'll look good on Saturday. Hope it'll stay that way. You know, it's a rough and tumble physical football. Football is a physical sport. Hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy, because when he's in the game, he really makes a difference. He changes the game for us on offense.
It had been a long time, 15 years, since a punt was returned for a touchdown. Tyrell Robinson did it, 73 yards, and I love punt returns. It's a lost art in college football. It was great to see the electrifying Tyrell Robinson add another signature play to his resume.
As we watch that one right here on the highlights, and it was a great return. He got some terrific blocks out of the crew that was out there. So we actually set up a return. We're a team that calls a lot of blocks, but on that particular play, we called a return, and those guys they performed their fundamentals so well, even down the finish as he was running down the sideline and shielding players from Villanova from being able to play over the top and make the tackle. Just really proud of that entire unit. So it's a great play. I hope we'll give them some more chances to do that. It's hard to return punts in college football. All the different punt formations and people shifting and motioning and giving you multiple looks. It's not easy, but Coach Saturnio, our special teams coordinator, does a terrific job with that group, and our guys take a lot of pride in it.
So I've waited 47 minutes to mention this, but our final note from the Villanova game a couple weeks ago, Jeff Monken now stands all by himself, #2 on the all-time wins list here at West Point for Army football. 59th win, breaking a tie with Charles Daly, and now only coach in front of you with more wins, the legendary Red Blake. Congratulations, Jeff.
Well, Red Blake has 121 of those, and golly sakes, what an unbelievable career he had. So we're still a long way away from that, and as I've said, I haven't played a single snap in any of those 59 victories. That's all a credit to our players, our assistant coaches, and the job that all of them have done. And let's hope there's a whole bunch more, and starting with this Saturday.
Sounds good to me. Congratulations, Jeff, on that 59th win here at West Point. When we come back, one final round of questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken on This Week in Army Football, right here from the Cadet First Class Club at West Point on the Army Sports Network from Learfield.
Throws it with his right foot, gives Army a 2-0 second half lead.
Crossed in, trickles toward the middle, and it's sent past Tubbs, and the Black Knights have tied it up. Guerra's shot sent in, his second of the match. Bends it perfectly, top right corner. May, the senior from Bloomfield, New Jersey, a great move, a beautiful lead. Here's the chip shot, and it's in. What a perfect play by Army, and Army scores. What a strike. It's Guerra again.
Oh, not even looking at it. Incredible stuff from Guerra. He has a brace tonight.
Coming into the stadium and playing a game is a special feeling.
A beautiful day for football. Sold out crowd should be a lot of fun. This is going to be packed wall to wall, aisle to aisle.
It's really a great honor to be able to play here, and to be able to play in the same stadiums. You know, 3 Heisman Trophy winners, teams that were national champions.
I've never seen, a helicopter fly over the entire Corps of Cadets, a packed out Mikey Stadium, something that it's different than any other college I've ever been to.
Just all the history behind it. I mean, before games, you have the helicopters flying past. I mean, you have the Corps that sits right over there.
To see them sacrifice for us and actually sit through and bring energy and bring the spirit that they do, I think that makes it a lot different.
It's something that, you want to make them proud and you want to represent them well, so to have them there supporting you every step of the way is definitely a great feeling.
An improbable game-time drive at the end of regulation, and then the win in overtime.
I don't think there's a lot of schools where when you walk into the stadium and you're getting ready, you have old grads from class of 89 and 94.
Having everybody come back and watch the Army football games, it's a great atmosphere in the stadium, and a lot of people really, really care about our success and how we do.
This is it right here, this is the backyard of Army football.
Just being able to run out and touch that plaque, it's just a tradition and it's an honor. A lot of great people have played in the stadium.
The legacy of people who played here, it's just real special to be a part of putting on the colors.
As cool as they come under pressure, Lindell back to throw the bomb. Steele grabs it from one defender. A 62-yard pass play. Army dramatically rallies to beat California.
Army has won the Commander-in-Chief's trophy for the 3rd time in 4 years, coming back in the 4th quarter to defeat Air Force.
It's ready in 5, 4, 3.
Great crew on hand tonight this week at Army football. Just a reminder, we'll be back next Thursday as we lead up to Army against Wake Forest. Jeff, I know you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves. What a performance by Wake going to overtime with Clemson this past Saturday.
That's an impressive football team, and Coach Clausen's done an incredible job at Wake Forest. And that quarterback, Sam Hartman, he's something special. He makes the whole thing go. And he's got a great supporting cast. He's got 2 receivers that are just incredible, and they play really good defense. And you know, when you play in Clemson, it's hard to play good defense. They play good defense, and it was just a back and forth battle and a shootout and some big plays. And you know, they came up short, but they certainly could have won that football game, good enough to win the football game.
They've almost taken that RPO to an absolute science, the way it's done down there. We'd also like to welcome tonight, I mentioned a great crowd tonight, our CBS television broadcasters, Jason Knapp, along with Ross Tucker.
I'm so glad to see those guys in here, and they're just taking it all in. They get here a couple days early and take in the atmosphere here at West Point, so it's great to see those guys here tonight.
Great to see everyone tonight. And like we mentioned, we'll be back next Thursday from 7 until 8. One more round of questions for Army head coach Jeff Monken. Corey, back to you.
All right, Coach, you mentioned Wake there for a second. So Steve Jawback was wondering, how do you keep the team focused on Georgia State and not look ahead to Wake?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
It's a question. If you know our team, you know we're thinking about anybody else but Georgia State. Georgia State, the talent level at Georgia State, I mean, half their team we offered a scholarship to. Half of our team they didn't offer a scholarship to. So it's going to take everything we can possibly do as well as we can do it to beat Georgia State. So it took that same effort against Villanova. I don't think people really appreciate how difficult it is to win a college football game and how difficult it is for us to win a college football game. So this is the most important game of the year, and we're treating it as such.
And again, we start October, 3 home games in the month of October here. It's an interesting lead up. Georgia State, then at Wake Forest, then home to Colgate, Louisiana Monroe, and just like that, we're into the second bye week, and then it's the home stretch. It's just crazy how fast this season goes.
It goes fast. So we got 25% of the season already done, and it feels like we're just started. So we got some work to do, and it's going to start this week.
That quarter pole we're at, just about ready to turn it come Saturday. Corey, next question for Coach.
Alrighty, Coach. This one is from Jim Piggott. He said, Coach, can you tell us more about watching the game film for both players and the coaches? What specifically do the coaches look for, and what are the players watching for?
There's way too much for me to explain in the little bit of time that we have. I mean, it's everything from how the defense or the offense is structured, personnel, individual techniques, keys on how we can see where a blitz or a stunt might be coming from on defense, where the blocking scheme is going to be moving on the snap of the ball. I mean, there's splits and I mean, I don't even know where to start. The defensive coaches, the hours and hours and hours that they spend in the off season just on each opponent, and then on the week leading up to that game, as well as the offensive coaches, the hours and hours and days of time that they spend on each opponent. Our special teams coordinator trying to find just a way for us to make a play and turn the game. So our players, we give them specific things to look at. They obviously can't look at the volume of film that coaches do, but we give them specific things to look at that are very detailed, having to do with their position or the guy that they're going to square off against.
How much film work is done collectively, and then how much homework do your players get, whether on a weekly or nightly basis?
So we give them some homework nightly, and what's amazing about the technology now, each of our guys has an iPad, a device, so we can send individual plays with voiceovers, with text overs, things they need to watch, circles, highlights, and our coaches take advantage of that technology. But they watch a lot of film while they're in our building, and they watch film each night on their own.
Jeff, Great job tonight. Time flies.
Yep.
Just like that, we're out of time.
Just like the season's flying by tonight.
I tell you.
Yep.
It'll be past the quarter pole coming up on Saturday. This broadcast, an exclusive presentation of Army West Point Sports Properties, a property of Learfield, under the broadcasting rights granted by the United States Military Academy at West Point. This broadcast is copyrighted, and any rebroadcast or reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of the Academy and Army West Point Sports Properties. General Manager of Army West Point Sports Properties is Steve Tucker. We'd like to thank Peter, Jimmy, Skyler here on site, Tony back in the studio, Ryan Panny keeping us on the air, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Corey Younghands on the wireless microphone. For our special guest, Captain Kingsley Ahe, Army head coach Jeff Monken, Rich Demarco saying so long, Army and Georgia State on Saturday.